It wasn't perfect, but there was certainly a lot more grit than what we played with the last few games on the defensive end of the floor. Green Bay's a team, that is pretty much scored on everybody all season long, with the exception of maybe one game. They scored some points at Oregon. They scored some points at Iowa. They're an electric offensive team, and I thought we did a good job for the most part, taking away their transition. We had 24 fast break points to their 9, and that's what they do. And it was one of the keys before the game, was to take care of the ball, win the turnover battle, which we did, and win the transition battle, which we did. But these guys played with a lot more grit, got to the floor first, and did some of the things we had to do to win the game. And, our bench, I thought Marcus did a great job. Christian Bishop came in. Sam Froling did a good job. And obviously Caleb Joseph gave us a huge lift during that run in the second half. So, these two, even though they're sophomores, we're going to need a lot out of them, and they gave that to us tonight.
Questions for the student athletes first.
I guess it seemed like the second half of each half, stops were coming in bunches, I guess. What did you guys do? Or how did the game, flow in that direction to where you guys were able to put stops together when you needed them the most?
You got it. All right. Pretty much throughout practice, we focus a lot on our defensive mentality. Coach been on me a lot about my defense, and I think I did a pretty good job today, right?
Mm-hmm.
But during the second half,
in comparison, especially.
But pretty much during the second half, we brought them down to a number that we tried to get them to, which was 55, but they scored 65. That was our number at first. But our defensive mentality was a lot better in the second half than it was at the end of the first half.
You want me to go too, or what?
You got anything different, I guess, yeah, if you want to.
I guess we were more locked in the second half of both halves. We tried to, we jumped on them early. I think we started the game 8-2, and stops were a big part of that. But at the end of the day, they didn't get a lot of second chance rebounds. I think they only had 8 offensive rebounds. So that's huge for us. Obviously, against Nebraska, that was a huge problem for us, and it just killed us multiple times. So we cleaned that up a little bit, and it showed on the defensive end when we strung a lot of stops together.
I guess just for each of you guys, how much effort does that take? It looked like you guys were working hard. Obviously on offense, you always do push the tempo, but defensively too. That take a lot out of you to make that happen.
At first it did, but we ended up pushing ourselves to sit there and want more. In practice, we go over our defensive stuff a lot, diving on the ball, taking charges, doing all the dirty things to put us in the situation now. So we're just going to sit there and just keep working and getting better at it, and we'll figure it out in the long run.
Mitch has 7 threes last Saturday. You hit another 5 tonight. Been feeling it a little bit the last 2 games. Does the bucket just look like it's a mile wide?
Yeah, it kind of does. Especially when Mac's been telling me to shoot all year. Since I got here, my freshman year, he's been telling me, a couple times he took me out just because I didn't take a shot. So when you have confidence, when your coach puts the confidence in you, and when your guys are, like Sam made a good play, we threw it into him, and then they doubled, and he saw me in the corner, and that's just an easy shot. So knock those down, and then the rim starts to get bigger throughout the game. And then Tyshawn's obviously a good player, and he attracts a lot of defensive schemes. So when he gets into the lane and makes plays for others, then we're pretty lethal. So at the end of the day, you just got to knock down open shots. And tonight I had a lot of open shots. So yeah, the rim looks big.
Both of you guys brought the ball up a lot tonight. Obviously, they come in averaging, turning teams over 18 times a game. You only have 14, so I'm sure you're pretty happy with that number. I guess what went into ball security tonight and beating the press with, I guess, one hand essentially, pretty much.
I'd say there was no surprises. The coaching staff had a good scheme, and we executed it in sense of that. They said they're gonna on free throws or on makes or misses, they're gonna get up in us and be physical with us. So just take care of the ball. And like you said, multiple guys brought it up the court just because if the one didn't get open, then 2 and 3 break to the ball or the 5 and get it in and just get it up the court, because we're all capable of taking care of the ball. You just have to do it, and we were aware of it. So shout out to the coaching staff for that.
I guess how are you guys able to keep it in the middle of the floor? It looked like you did a lot tonight, but obviously with their pressure, they can force you in the spots they want you to be in. But how focused were you guys on keeping it in the middle of the floor so you guys could have the whole court to use, I guess?
We also talked about, we saw a couple of plays on film that they like to go and trap. So if you take it on the wings or below the free throw line extended, then they'll come and trap. So the more you keep it in the middle of the field or the middle of the court. Been watching my Chiefs, man.
Chiefs game.
Watching my Chiefs. I'm hurt,
man.
But just keep it in the middle of the court, and then if you throw it to the corner and the guys comes and traps, then just be available. So a couple times when we talked about banana curling open, if your guy goes and traps, so just keep it in the middle of the floor, and everything will be easier when we get it on the other side of the court.
The field.
Hey, Mitch, I just wondered, maybe you noticed that I didn't tonight, but like, is it a moment in the game where you can see like a drop off in energy? And if so, like, do you feel like you guys are maybe better able to recognize it and snap back into form?
Yeah, I think so. Like Tyshawn was talking about earlier, he talked a lot about we're just trying to fight through fatigue, and sometimes fatigue sets in, and then we get a little lackluster on the defensive end, and we have to pick that up. But transition is a huge thing for them, so we just try to take them out of their transition game just by getting back. But when a drop off happens, you can usually tie it to our offense not making shots. So we just have to be, a two-dimensional team. We got to play both sides of the ball, and when we do that, I think we can beat anybody in the country. We've showed that for 30 minutes, and once we put it together for a full 40 minutes, I think we can be pretty dangerous going forward, when the shots are going or not.
Right.
How did you see Caleb on that play?
I told him.
You told him?
Yeah, I told him.
Oh.
I screamed. I was
I
screaming.
got 2.5 more years of this stuff.
It's just that vision.
You okay with that pass? Good.
No, he got on me my freshman year, and I guarantee he's gonna get on Mitch again.
To say if it sails out of bounds, I might not be playing again. I'm done for the night.
Thanks, guys.
See you tomorrow, boys. Good job.
Thanks, Liz.
Questions for Coach?
Hey, Coach, I just got to ask, what happened to the tie tonight?
To be honest, I told my wife I wanted to wear this coat, and I asked her to pick out a tie, and she spent about 5 minutes going through them. She didn't think anything worked, so I said, we're going without tonight. So it's actually a little more comfortable, to be honest. I see why those NBA guys do it a lot. Maybe it'll catch on to me.
I guess they come into the game the country in tempo, but it seemed like you guys didn't wear them out tonight. Do you know what in particular you were able to do with your pace to wear into them tonight?
They play a lot of guys like we play a lot of guys, and we just told our guys they haven't played a team that runs like we run. Most teams that play against them are scared to play that way because they're so quick with their tempo. So we decided to push it and run it right at them. And but I really thought the key to our game was like we didn't, especially early, we didn't give up a lot of shots in the first 6 or 7 seconds of the shot clock, which is what they feast on. So we made them get to 15, 20 seconds into the shot clock, and I think they're averaging 13 and a half or 14 seconds is how quick they shoot it on the year. So our guys did a really good job defensively, and when you get stops, we can get out and run. And like we weren't great. I thought we missed some shots in the paint. I thought we had some better looks in the first half from three that we missed, and obviously we were atrocious from the free throw line. But we did some good things offensively, but our defense set the tone for that.
You guys talked about it all week, but then to see the guys implement it like that. I know it's just one game, but it hasn't.
They were going to implement it, or it wasn't going to be a very pleasant weekend. So their weekend just got a little more pleasant.
You guys hang your hat on playing without fouling. I know there was an emphasis to being more physical defensively, but I think the 7 straight opponents that have gotten at least 20 free throw attempts. I know it's not a number you like to give up. I guess is there something you're seeing that is I guess, continuing to happen in that area where I know you're at the mercy of the whistle sometimes, but
Yeah, I mean, Gonzaga's hard to guard. Nebraska only had 4 at halftime, and then they got away from us the second half. As I told the team in the locker room after the game, there's a fine line between playing with more grit and more energy and more toughness defensively, and then also understanding you can't foul. And, you know, Christian had a couple offensive fouls. Martin had one. Davian had one. I mean, those charges we have to eliminate. And then I think Sam had an over the back, 94 feet from the basket. Caleb dove and took a guy's legs out 94 feet from the basket. Those are the ones that have to go away. And then the shooting fouls early in the second half. It's just we cannot foul shooters, and we got to look at those. And the guys that are doing that over and over again, we got to work to fix it.
Seemed like you guys were tracking the right direction free throw wise, but maybe the last couple games, and then obviously tonight.
It's the strangest thing, John, I've ever for a team that shoots it as good as this team shoots it. To struggle from the free throw line is just baffling to me. And I mean, you've been at practice. Like, it's not like they struggle shooting it in practice. So it's just I just think it's one of those things. If we get a couple games where we get our mojo back, but if it continues, it's obviously going to cost us. And it's the reason it was a 10-point game instead of a 17 or 18-point game at halftime. I think Tyshawn was 4 for 4, and the rest of the team was 6 of 18. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. As good as they shoot it.
Contributions tonight from off the bench, Marcus, Caleb in that second half there?
Really good. You know, I thought Marcus gave us a really good lift, got the ball moving a little bit better. And then, you know, Caleb was instrumental during that stretch where we kind of created some separation. But, you know, Jake's back was bugging him, had a hard time going. So, you know, Sam and Christian both did some good things. We went with Christian more when they were smaller, when they had 3-point shooters on the floor at the 5, thinking he could keep up with him. But, you know, Sam's a problem in the post when he takes his time, and because he's such a good passer out of there. But he got some critical baskets for us. But overall, you know, the bench was good. We had 36 points out of him tonight.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you mentioned defense setting the tone, but I think there was a play where Mitch went to the rim, missed, tipped it out, dove on it, got up, hit the corner, hit a 3, like all within a span of maybe 10 seconds.
Yeah, and you know, I think it was better. And you know, they watched the film of the Nebraska game, and they didn't like what they saw. I mean, they're competitors, and you know, when you're in the moment, you're in that kind of environment, and it was a difficult environment to play in. I don't think you realize maybe some of the times you were half a step slow, or they could have stuck your nose in there a little bit quicker. So they watched all of that on film, and obviously they took it personal. And you know, we made it a point this week to make practices a little bit more challenging, especially for finals week practices. I think the guys were probably a little surprised at what transpired this week, but we had to get back to it. And as a result, you know, the offense kind of took a back seat this week, and we tried to get back to some things that we're going to have to stand for defensively a little bit better.
2 more for Coach.
Maybe turnover-wise, I mean, this game was a little bit different, but the last 3 games, I feel like you've shown improvement there. What's the reason for that in your mind?
You know, they're getting more familiar with each other. You know, there's a lot of young guys and guys in different positions than they've been in before. They've got the ball in their hands more. You know, you got guys like Caleb that really hasn't played much, and you know, Connor that's new to the program, and then you take all of our freshmen, and Damien's new. You know, it's just going to take some time to get an understanding of how other guys are going to play, and we've made some foolish turnovers, and as I mentioned tonight, you know, we had 4 or 5 offensive fouls, so that's a third of your turnovers right there, and that's something that we can't do.
How do you think Christian handled being more of a regular off the bench tonight?
He did a good job, and we used him some in practice. I'm trying to, in practice, if I can, try to use him and Sam more on the scout team. The problem we're running into is you know, we put one of them on the scout team, and the other 3 rotate with the top group, so they're only getting a third of the reps. And I've seen, I think maybe Martine and Jake and Sam maybe have all digressed a little bit because they aren't getting as many reps as they need to get. So we have to fix that in practice. And, you know, with Jake and Martine, it's a little tricky. It's a little bit of a slippery slope because of their knees and injuries, to make sure they're not on the floor too much. But you also want to make sure their conditioning and their timing is where it needs to be. But he did a good job tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.